I usually like to have a few types of gloves to cover year-round riding here in the Mid-Atlantic region. A pair of mesh or vented gloves for hot summer riding. A pair of gloves with thin insulation and good mobility for cool riding, maybe down to the 40s. And a pair of thick insulated gloves for cold weather riding. Combined with thin liners, winter gloves are okay into the 30s for me, and even then I may need to stop and warm my hands on the exhaust occasionally if I'm riding long. Beyond that, I can't seem to keep my hands comfortable with just gloves and liners. I've tried bar end mitts before, but they annoy me because I can't move around freely. I have heated grips on one of my scooters that make a big difference in cold weather, and I put less than $50 into them and their installation, but I have 4 scooters and I don't really want to install something on each one of them. I wanted heated gear that I could use on anything I ride, and that's where the Highway 21 Radiant battery-powered heated gloves come in. They come in a soft storage case, which is good in my opinion because I want to store them safely when not in use since they have about a $200 price point. You get the gloves, 2 batteries, and a charger. The gloves are mostly leather construction for the outer shell. They have armor for the knuckles, as well as reinforcements on the palms with some double stitching for additional protection. A wrist strap with elastic helps to keep the glove secure on your hand, and the gauntlet is easily adjustable with its own Velcro fastener. I have no trouble fitting the gloves over my riding jacket, and they may even fit under the sleeves of some jackets, but they are pretty large in that area. The gloves have a 100-gram Thinsulate lining as well as a Hypora lining to help keep your hands warm and dry. They are thick enough that some mobility and feel is lost, but that's pretty standard for a true winter glove. The batteries are 7.4-volt lithium-ion polymer units, and they easily connect to the included charger with an LED that changes from red to green to tell you when the batteries are done charging. A pocket in each gauntlet opens to reveal the battery pouch and connection. I was worried about the battery-powered gloves being heavy or bulky, but that hasn't bothered me. With the battery installed, each glove weighs under 10 ounces. There are 3 levels of heat, activated by the buttons on each glove. I found them easy to adjust, and the LEDs show what setting I'm using at a glance. The gloves also claim to be touchscreen compatible, and I was able to use my index finger to navigate, but other fingers and the thumb did not work with my touchscreen. Overall, they seem like pretty nice gloves, but I wanted to do a little testing to find out how well they actually work. I took a few rides, day and night, in the 30s. Each time I turned the gloves on the highest heat level about 10 minutes before I started riding. That gave them time to heat up so I'd have protection from the cold right from the start. They felt very warm when I first put them on, but riding in the cold quickly made me realize that I wouldn't need the lower settings if I wanted to remain comfortable. The gloves do only heat the back side of the fingers and hands, but that's the side that's in the wind, and having heat present anywhere seems to help the whole hand. I left the gloves on level 3 for all rides, ranging from about 20 minutes up to 2 hours, and my hands didn't feel toasty warm, but they were mostly comfortable. That may not sound like a stellar review, but with the thick gloves and liners, my fingertips are usually in pain on similar rides in short order. The pain in my fingers is usually what makes me want to cut winter rides short, but I had no desire to stop just because of my hands or fingers when wearing the Highway 21 Radiant heated gloves. So now I knew they worked pretty well for me, but I wanted to find out how long I could count on the batteries. I measured the voltage of both batteries at 8.46 volts after charging. These batteries are rated at 7.4 volts, but that's what is called nominal voltage. It's roughly midway between the battery's fully charged and cutoff voltages. I headed out for a ride in mid to upper 20-degree temps with the gloves on level 3 and stopped after an hour of riding to check the batteries, which were at 7.72 and 7.73 volts. I rode for another hour and returned home to find the batteries at 7.54 volts. 2 hours on high didn't quite put the batteries as low as their nominal voltage. I knew they lasted at least for 2 hours, but I still wanted to see just how long they could go, so I started doing some tests at home. I charged the batteries, checked the voltage off the charger, and then set up a clock and checked voltage every hour. I did this to get times on all 3 heat settings. In addition to what you see here, I did try to check voltage more frequently when I expected the batteries to die. The lowest number that I recorded was 5.98 volts, just a few minutes before a battery died, and all of my last readings were right around 6 volts. As would be expected from this type of battery, it looks like they shut off somewhere very near 6 volts. Here's a quick tip. It's okay to drain the batteries, but don't let dead batteries sit around for long before you get them on a charger, or you could ruin the battery or change its charge characteristics. I was surprised to see that every setting outlasted the times advertised by the manufacturer. These gloves should last for most rides that the average user would take when it's really cold out, and the heat stayed on right up until they shut off. I didn't monitor temperature accurately enough to know if they cooled slightly as voltage dropped, but by feel they all seemed near their fresh charge heat shortly before they quit. The only issue that I found to be exaggerated in the manufacturer's info was the charging time. Their info stated 2.5 hours to recharge, and I was pretty sure none of my recharges went that quickly. I set up a camera to watch the batteries charge from just depleted till the light turned green on the charger to find out for sure. I found that it took 5 hours and 41 minutes for the charger to indicate that the batteries were ready to go. That's more than double the advertised time, but to me that doesn't really make much difference, and I won't complain since they outlast the running times that are much more important to me. After all of the battery checks, I woke up one morning to 10-degree temperatures and had to try the gloves in that. I only rode for about 40 minutes with the gloves on high, but it wasn't the gloves that cut my ride short. I ended up heading home because the moisture from my breath kept freezing on the inside of my helmet's visor and making it hard to see. I pulled over to clear the visor off, and taking the gloves off made me quickly realize how much difference they make. My hands felt very cold just from minutes clearing the shield, and then they stayed cold even once the gloves were back on. In the 15 to 20 minutes returning home, I can't say that my hands recovered from the chill, but they did warm up some, and that's an accomplishment considering the wind chills would be around -15 to -20 Fahrenheit while riding. I could have probably warmed them some with the exhaust, but I wanted to see what the gloves could do on their own. I'm certain that my hands would have been in pain with any of the unheated gloves that I own. If you can't stand the idea of staying off your bike all winter, these could be a good option. Combined with heated grips or handlebar muffs, they should work well into very low temperatures. Spare batteries are available as well, in case you want to go for long rides or just to keep a spare pair charged. Overall, I'm very pleased with the Highway 21 Radiant Heated Gloves. The price point around $200 is very expensive to me, but they make a big difference in cold weather, offer some impact and abrasion protection, don't have to be hardwired to any of my scooters, and appear to be of decent quality. Before the video ends, I would like to point out that this is in no way a sponsored review. I was not paid to do the video, and the gloves were bought at full price. Everything you've seen or heard are my own honest opinions and my own observations. Thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.